Hey there, it's Mike. Thanks for checking out this video. We are going to do a bit of gear comparison today. We're going to look at the Fuji 35 1.4 and compare that to the Viltrox 33 1.4. I'm going to tell you which lens that I prefer based on my needs. Your needs may be different, of course. So let's look at the 35 1.4. Now, both of these, of course, are going on a Fuji X mount, which is 1.5 crop, so these are essentially 50 millimeter lenses. The Fuji 1.4 is definitely the older of the two lenses. It came out about 10 years ago, 2012, so it definitely, like, technology-wise, it's there. Like, it's old. It's not, you know, something with the latest technological advances as far as lenses go, but it is very light, very compact. It's only about 2.5 inches high, half a pound. It looks great. I put it on my X Pro 2. It looks fantastic. Love the way Fuji lenses look. And one of the reasons why it's still popular today, even though it is 10 years old, is that the images just, they look great. It takes great images, even at 1.4. And that's the issue with, you know, when you have these fast lenses and you open them up all the way, what is the image quality going to be like, you know, in the corners, things like that? I'm not a pixel peeper. As a street photographer, I am not looking for Architectural Digest or National Geographic type images. So, but the big plus for this lens is that it takes great images even at 1.4. So, a lot of good things about the Fuji. The things that aren't so good about the Fuji. The first thing that surprised me is it's a bit noisy. I didn't realize the lens was quite that old, and that the lens, you know, there's the motor in there, and the lens does move. The aperture blades move, and there's some noise there. Now, is it super noisy? No, but when you're used to quiet lenses, and then you have a lens that makes noise, can kind of throw you for a little bit of a loop. So you kind of have to get used to that. I don't think it's going to be something where, you know, if you're out on the streets, you're going to hear it or anything because you're outside. But so it's, you know, there's some noise there. It's not weather sealed. It is not good for video. I will say the first time I used it, one of the reasons why I have this lens is that I shoot all my YouTube videos with it, except for this one, of course, because I'm using it to compare. So I would normally use this to shoot video, and because the lens moves as it's tracking and autofocusing, it actually would kind of move the frame a little bit. And so I recorded a video with it, and I went and looked at it on my computer, and not to be dramatic, but you almost started getting a little motion sickness because it was constantly tracking and constantly making these little adjustments to the frame. So if you're looking at video with this, this is not the lens. The other issue that it has is that it has this really unique lens cap, or sorry, lens hood that is rectangular. And because of that, the actual lens cap that fits inside is very difficult to take off and on. And so what Fuji did is they solved that by giving you this rubber one that fits over the top of it. The problem is the rubber one comes off really easily, and you're going to lose that. So you kind of have to make a decision how important is the lens hood. It looks great. It fits with that lens really well, but then you're going to have to use this rubber lens cap, and it's you're probably going to end up losing it somehow. So that's kind of a knock against it there too. So so some good, some bad. So let's take a look and talk about the Viltrox. Now, the Viltrox 33 1.4 is definitely bigger and heavier. This is about 3.5 inches tall, so it's an inch taller. It's also, I think, about 11 or 12 ounces, so not, I wouldn't say twice as heavy as the Fuji, but getting there. You definitely can tell this is solid metal. This is not, you know, Viltrox isn't trying to make some toy that, you know, you can use to replace the Fuji. This is a very solidly built lens, so they did a good job with that. It is quieter. It came out in 2020, so there's no noise whatsoever. It does focus very fast. I would say it focuses faster than the Fuji. It is also priced way better, and that's definitely a consideration. I think The Viltrox you can get brand new for less than 300, and the Fuji you're looking at about 500. And used, obviously, that's going to bring those prices down even more. So, and I'll have affiliate links in the description. You can check those out, read reviews on Amazon for both the lenses and things like that. So price is fantastic. The one thing about the Viltrox that I had to get used to, and I'm not a super huge fan of, is that the aperture ring on these Viltrox lenses is clickless. It's like a focus ring, so it's just smooth, and you just turn it. So you're never really sure how much you're closing down or opening up that lens. You have to look, you look in the viewfinder and you can see the aperture change there, obviously, but there's no clicking. And the good thing that Viltrox did with that lens is because it's clickless, they made the focus or the aperture ring a little bit tighter, so you're not going to bump up against it and then go from 1.4 to 5.6 or something like that. You do have to actually move it quite a bit and put some pressure on it. So that was a very good move by Viltrox. So but something I kind of had to get used to, and it's not a huge deal, but just something to to think about. So the one sort of knock on the Viltrox is that it is, and I haven't really noticed this myself, because again, I'm not checking corners and going for National Geographic photos here, but it's not quite as sharp at 1.4 as the Fuji is. So if you want better sharpness with the Viltrox, you're gonna have to close down probably to f2, something like that. And so obviously you're gonna lose some light there. So there's the trade-off. Is the price worth getting a lens that's a little bit sharper at 1.4? It's going to be a slower focusing lens with the Fuji, but the images will be potentially better and sharper at 1.4. So here's the two lenses, the Viltrox and the Fuji. Which one am I going to use? Because I'm not keeping both of these. I really love the Fuji. I loved how small it is. I love the way it looks. The issue is I need to use it more for video than photo. And so because of that, I can't keep the Fuji. I can't keep this Fuji. I would like to, but I could use that money for something else. So I'm going to go with the Viltrox 33 1.4, all things considered, because really the only time I shoot stills with this lens would be at night for night street photography. Then yeah, 1.4 becomes important. Maybe the Fuji becomes more important because the image quality is better, but this one focuses faster. And I'm using it more for video anyway than photo. So I had to weigh all these. And so I would say to you, my advice to you, if you're primarily a photo person with this, you're not going to use this lens for video, I would go with the Fuji if you can afford it. If it's in your budget and you don't mind paying that extra $200, $250, then I would say definitely go with the Fuji. If you want to save money, still have a very nice lens, focuses fast, solidly built, metal construction, you can use it for video if you ever need to, I would definitely go with the Viltrox. So I wish I could say this is the one you need to buy, this is the one you need to use. As photographers, lenses and cameras are tools that we're using to get the job done, and there are these things that play tug of war with one another, the pros and the cons, and you have to decide. I think if I was making tons and tons of money, I would just keep both, but it doesn't really warrant the usage, what little usage I would have for the 35 1.4 for stills only. To me, it just doesn't make sense for me to keep it. So I'm going to go with the Viltrox. So I hope that helps you out. Leave me some comments down below if you have experience with either of these lenses. Leave any questions down there. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out my links, my website. I have a couple books for sale on Amazon as well. It'd be great if you got one of those to help support my channel. Otherwise, we will see you on the streets with another video. Thanks. Bye-bye.